Hey there, class. So today I wanted to walk through a couple of different ways that you will use citations in your papers. We're going to look at how to add a citation to your reference page. That's what comes at the end of your paper. And then also two different ways that you'll do in-text citation, meaning within the context of the paper that you've written, either pulling a direct quote from the author or just giving reference to the author after you've put something into your own words. So I'm going to share my screen with you, because I also want to point out just a few resources that you have available to you as well. It's not necessary to 100% memorize these citation styles. I haven't devoted it all to memory. I always go back to this as a reference, also because they may change over time. So right now we're in the 7th edition, but if the 8th edition were to come out with a difference, we would have to learn those differences, right? We want to stay up to date with our citation methods. So one thing to note is that there is a LibGuide, or a guide from the library, about how to do APA citations. So if you went to LibGuides, there's one called APA Citations here. And I've clicked on the reference page of how to do articles. We also have it for websites and books, and then how to do one with missing information. So that might be really important to you as well as you move on. But the basic setup of how to do a reference on the citations page is going to be listed here for you. So author, comma, and then initials, the ampersand, and then author, initials, year of publication, title of the work, and oftentimes academics love the use of a colon. So the subtitle is also capitalized. And then in italics is the journal name, volume number, and issue number. That issue number does appear in parentheses. And then you have your page range, and then your DOI, which is the digital object identifier. That's how someone can find it again online. That takes it directly to that item, as opposed to just Googling it or trying to recreate your search in a database to find the same thing. So this DOI will take you directly to it. So here we have a great example. As just a nice generic example for you there, but I want to pull one from an article that I found on using Google Scholar, which I got to through our databases here at Washburn. So if you click the letter G under databases, go down to Google Scholar for Washburn users. This is the original article from French and Raven about power bases. So it's from 1959, so it's quite old, but it's the original article from those authors. So I want to use that for sure in my work, in my own paper about these theories. So here, once you have it pulled up, you can go to Cite right here, and they're all listed for you here. However, that's a computer doing it. So you always want to double check that it is correct. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this, pull up my Word document. That's a quote that I've pulled that we're going to look at in just a moment, and then I'm going to paste it. And I want to merge my formatting. So then I just want to double check that this is right? I want to, with my own human eye, make sure that this is correct, as opposed to relying on the internet to do it for me. So I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller, because I'm going to point out another great resource for you is Purdue OWL. This has all kinds of ways to do your APA formatting, including reference lists for articles and periodicals. That's what we're here. And again, just like on that LibGuide, it's listed for you here exactly how to do that. So what I'm going to do is just have this page pulled up and have my document pulled up and see that I have last name, comma, yep, first initial, period, second initial, period, comma, author's last name, comma, initial. This person only had the one initial, right? Comma, ampersand, and then that next author. Then the date in parentheses, the title of the article. There's no colon, so I don't have to include that, just the title of the article, a period, and then the periodical is in italics, along with the volume number still in italics. If there were an issue number, I would put it there, but there's not. And then my page number range. So this looks correct. Great. There's not a DOI listed in the citation for me, because it's from 1959. So that kind of makes sense that there wouldn't be a digital object identifier, right? This is something that was scanned and put on the internet different than something born digital. I won't get in too much into depth with that for the purpose of just how to do a proper citation. So one thing to note see how this up here has what's called a hanging indent, meaning that that second line is indented. So to do that in Word, what I'll want to do is highlight the whole thing, go to Home, go to my paragraph style right here, and under this, under Special, there's a drop-down menu, and I can say Hanging. And that's going to apply that to that for me. There we go. Perfect. If this was my reference page, I would have the word references up here at the top centered. And when I have multiple references, which of course you will, you'll have more than one as you're writing your papers, you would put them in alphabetical order by the first name that appears, right? So let's say that we had a second one listed here. Let's just say that I wrote a paper. Okay, and I did that all by myself, so there doesn't need to be another author's name. And then that I wrote it in 2020. And it was called, how to library. This is all, I'm just making this up. This isn't anything that I've actually written. Don't go try to find it. How to library. And let's say that that appeared in the ACRL volume 4. And I'll italicize that in just a minute. And that my pages were 201 to 219 and a period. Okay. And so right here, actually, I probably wouldn't want to just do an abbreviation. I would probably actually spell that out. So association, and y'all can see how badly I spell college research, actually. And you do want it to appear exactly how the journal lists what they call themselves. So for this, they actually use an ampersand in the way that it's published. So I want to use it exactly how it appears for exactly how it would appear on the cover of that journal. So then I'll go back here and I will italicize, including that volume number, right? Okay, and since it's a shorter citation, it doesn't need a hanging indent because it doesn't go to the second line. All right, so that would be how you would do your references. And this is, mine is, the Holt is going to come after the French because H comes after F in the alphabet. Keep the order of the authors the way that they are listed. That's very important in some disciplines who came first. So keep them in the order that they're listed. Don't alphabetize that list, but overall your citations will be in alphabetical order. So I'll just delete this so that that's not in our, actually, I'll delete this one because that was just a made up example. But let's keep this one up at the top so that we have it as a nice reference for you. So this is a quote that I pulled. I'm just gonna copy. Actually, I'm gonna cut that so that we can look at it further down. Okay, so now we just have our nice reference. So we have all that information that we may need for our in-text citations. So let's say that I am now, I have stuff that I've written, and now I'm going to introduce French and Raven, and I really love the way that they have that they start their paper. I really love this first quote, and I really like the way that they have specifically stated it. And so I want to keep the I want to keep it word for word. I want to quote it verbatim. So I'm doing a direct quote in this sense because I really like the way that that's phrased. And so I want to use it in that way. So I have my quotation marks around it. Let's just go back to one of our wonderful resources here. And right here, it's in-text citations, author and authors, and they list it here by a work by one author, non-standard author categories. So a work by two authors, a work by 3 or more. So once you get to the third author, you will do what's called et al., which is meaning and the rest, the remaining. And so see, here are some examples. So upon the fourth person, that is when you would, oh, sorry, a little ad. That is when you would go to et al. And you would put a period there and a comma after that, and then the year. For us, it's just 2 authors. And so we're going to look at what it looks like with 2 authors. And so we're going to use an ampersand. We're going to say the first name, ampersand, the second name that appears, a comma, and the year. So that's what I want to do right here. Oh, nope. I want to go back to my Word document, which is down here. Okay. And in parentheses, I will say Raven. And that was an ampersand, right? Yep. ampersand. Oh, actually it is three authors. So I'll do French, comma, Raven, comma, and right with the year and my period. So, yep. Sorry, I was just double checking. So that's how I would do it if it was a direct quote. So keep in mind that if you're quoting like a larger section of the paper, then you would do what's called a block quote. So you would actually indent on both sides, kind of block it out, right? Because the reason that we do these citations for a couple different reasons. One, to give credit where credit is due, right? I didn't come up with the sentence, they did. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not trying to claim it as my own. Also for convenience of reading. The fact that it's in parentheses after, you could skip over that if you wanted to. It's not the full citation, so it's not going to take you out of the kind of flow of your reading. And if it's a very, very long quote, the reason that we block it off is because we want to make it very clear to the reader that that is still that author's words and not our own. So let's say that instead of doing a direct quote, I have an entire paragraph where I have summarized in my own words, in my words, one of the power bases that they have listed. And in that case, it would be the same. I would still want to give that that credit where it is due. And this time I may choose to do the et al. And the year, and then, excuse me, my period. So really similar, just making sure that you have given, again, I didn't come up with these power bases, that I've read about them, I've thought about them, I've now put it into my own words. And so I still want to give credit where credit is due and make sure that I'm not, you know, I don't want to be caught, I don't want anyone to think that I've plagiarized anything, right? One thing to note, and I'll go back to right here where we do in-text citations. There's a video here if you would like to watch that. So we have our one author, right? Our multiple authors, two authors, three or more. And then also just a good general idea, right? Is that if you, oh, sorry, I forgot this part of my direct citation. Just kidding. I need to put what page it's on because it's come directly from a specific page. In this case, it's from the very first page of their paper. And so I know it's page 311, and I'm going to do the page period because it's just one page number. If it was multiple pages, I would do the PP, meaning pages, and the period, and then the page ranges. So if I was doing maybe that quote like spanned a page, or I'm doing one of those block quotes that we talked about, right? Also, a thing to note about citing in general. Each reference cited in text must appear in the reference list, and each entry in the reference list must be cited in the text. Make certain that each source referenced appears in both places. I'm going to stop sharing while I kind of explain what that means. What that means is that we don't want to see just a long list of references at the end of your paper where you haven't actually said anything about them in the content of your paper. A lot of times students will say, oh, well, I had to find 10 sources, so I slapped them all at the end because that's what the instructor asked me to do. And so now I have this reference list of 10, but you didn't actually synthesize that information and put it in the content of the paper. So make sure that every reference on your list is referenced somewhere within the paper. It doesn't have to be a direct quote. It can be one of those summaries in your own words. Just make sure that you then have those parentheses with the author's name and year, or that you've pulled a direct quote like I did, the opening sentence of that I thought was just a really great way to frame that. I didn't want to have to put it into my own words, or the words that they used are really important. You may find yourself using a lot of direct quotes, especially when it comes to definitions of things from the authors that have created these theories, that kind of thing. And other times you may find yourself a lot more summarizing what it is that you've done. and what you've read. So I hope that those citations are going to be, that citation help is going to be beneficial to you. And don't forget your resources. You have that LibGuide from the library. You can also just go to the library and ask a librarian. And you also have the Purdue OWL to look at that just has those examples for you. And you can always double check, even if you've used a citation generator. Make sure to always check, double check with your human brain, utilizing one of those resources as a point of reference. If you have any questions, don't feel free to reach out to me in any way, and I look forward to reading what you've written. Thanks, y'all. Bye.